Hello everyone, hi guys, Joe, and it is Monday, so we are back again with another Fanatics Weekly Review where I go through the top 100 soccer items auctioned over on their platform. As always, if you enjoy these weekly videos, do make sure to leave a like, helps me, helps the channel, and without further ado, let's go ahead and pop on over to the site. So we start this week at $81, again a little lower of a week just like last week. The last couple have been a bit softer, at least on the bottom end, also softer on the top end as we'll come to see, tons of fun stuff in between. Still some stuff to talk about, but I will breeze through the first page or two a little quicker than typical. We do start with the Buffon patch auto. You have a Holland here out of 20 white. Kobe Mainu there, a gold Topps Finest insert. Above that, you have a 1/1 Antony. You also have a marbled PSA 9 Messi. This Velita 68 Panini Calciatore Eusebio goes for $86. I think that was a little higher than some other sales that I did look up. I just took a peek at that earlier. But, you know, a mid-career Eusebio, they're going for $86 with 16 watchers. Row above that, we've seen a lot of these Cristiano Ronaldos and even the Messi go from the 2008 Panini Champions League set as of late. $86 for that doesn't seem incredibly pricey, considering that, you know, the highest grade you're typically going to get, I think, is an 8 on these, so a 6 is pretty decent, all things considered. This Refractor Mbappe was pretty good, an orange going for $86. I've definitely seen lower sales on maybe even like a PSA 10 on eBay at times, so that's not bad at all. Christian Pulisic auto here, really hard to see. Above that, not a whole lot in this row that I can speak on. That's a Romario's second year. It says rookie again, as always. Do pay mind that the rookie labeling is not always going to be the case, especially in something like that. This is actually third year. Typically, the 87 seen as the rookie, and it is definitely the more prominent, most graded in terms of his early releases, but there are a couple 86s out there that are pretty hard to find. You have a Benjamin Sesko patch auto here for 88. You have a Garnacho above that for 88 as well, out of 49. This Telmo Zara from, I think that was 41, 42 actually. I mean, you know, I commend PSA for getting it to sit in the slab properly to some degree, but that does look kind of rough. I wish the pinchers were a little smaller maybe, but I understand, you know, beggars can't be choosers. But, you know, I would like to choose it every now and then. So in this row, not a whole lot to speak on. I was interested just generally in the 2014 Prism Messi. You know, obviously the history with that is pretty well documented, but I did want to see sort of where it is. Obviously, we know where it's been. That's not really the interesting part. I don't know if any of this is interesting, to be honest, but I did find it somewhat interesting that over the last 2 years, it's around the same price. This is a PSA 9. If we look at a 10, over the last 2 years, it is down. Over the last 1 year, it's up 2%. So, you know, still within this graph, obviously, there's a lot of fluctuation, so you can't draw a whole lot from it. I don't even really know where this stands at the end of the day, to be honest. I mean, 2,500 copies of anything in soccer is an incredible amount. I think it'll always be a somewhat interesting card for, you know, beginning collectors or maybe kids that are getting into the hobby, stuff like that. I think that this could be a $100 card that's nothing crazy, but also kind of cool in some way. Obviously, if you've been here the whole time, you're probably just tired of seeing them by this point, but me personally, I do have a set of the 2014 Prism and 2018 Prism World Cup. I was missing the Messi and Ronaldo from 2014 Prism base. I guess I still am, but now I can pretty easily go out and get them, so I feel good about that at least. I like having a set around, you know, just kind of flip through a booklet every now and then. I don't know. I like it, but it's harder to do with slabs, so that's sort of the difficulty of it, I guess. Above that, Stevie G auto, you have a Florian Wirtz Topps On-Demand Match Attacks. On-Demand Match Attacks? Is that like, I don't even know. Okay. Orange Red Cristiano Ronaldo Fusion. And then finally, we have a 53 Di Stefano. Labeled again as a rookie. 53 is where you start to get his more widely distributed stuff that you can actually find. Before that, it's fairly difficult, but I can understand the rookie label to some degree. On the other hand, I can't. And then a booklet and a Messi to round out page 4. On to page 3, we start with a 1970 PSA 2 Pele going for 110. This Meteor Aficionado Lionel Messi. I took a peek just because I was intrigued. I haven't really seen this card before. Apparently it's a case hit, which seems to make sense because I have not seen many of them. Last one sold September of last year for $94 raw. So 110 for a 9. I mean, granted, a 9 sold back here for 60. You know, doesn't seem like a crazy price, but also seems like a good price, especially, I mean, some of these back here, raw or in an 8, were going for like $30-$40. And, you know, even back in the day when they first came out, they were like 10 to 20. So, I mean, they're definitely up, but nothing crazy if you're just trying to find a somewhat rare Messi. could be up your alley. Pop one of 10, none high. Wow, no 10s on that, huh? That's interesting. I mean, the back's probably a dark color, I would imagine. Yeah, sort of got the dark black and blue along the edges, so reasonable. Out of 50 here, Topps Chrome Gold Messi 9.5 goes for 110. This is always like, I understand 2017 Chrome, the allure, first year nature of it, all that good stuff. And as you go on, there's more parallels, there's more, there's Sapphire, there's other SKUs of Topps, but I mean, a gold refractor from Chrome, Messi, out of 50, 9.5, going for 110. I mean, to me, that feels like a fun price. There's not going to be many comps, so I didn't look it up. Only a pop one of 2. But, I mean, $110, I mean, I don't like saying how can you go wrong on that. But if you're just having fun, collecting, trying to find some Messi stuff, how could you go wrong on that, right? I don't think so. Price-wise, you never know. But I think that's a decent way to spend 110 on a Messi. I'd rather that than the Sapphire Cristiano Ronaldo. I know it's a nice celebration. It's a nice picture, all that good stuff. But, I mean, it is a base. I guess it's a short print, probably variation of some sort. So, I don't know. I just don't like whenever they have throwback jerseys to years when they weren't there. He wasn't with Madrid at this point, obviously. He was still on Manchester United, or at least in the process of leaving Man United. Nonetheless, I'd take the Messi for sure, even though it's PSG. I know everyone hates PSG kit. To me, and maybe I'm just being a contrarian here, I like the PSG kit more than the Inter Miami kit. I should be a biased American that says the Inter Miami kit's cooler. I don't know. I find PSG to have a lot more significance in the world of soccer than Inter Miami, so I respect the kit a little more, I think. At least that's the way I see it. To each their own, of course. You have a height in here from 36. That goes for 115 and a PSA 1. Presumably decently rare with a pop one of 1, just one higher on that release. Martinelli here, a Kaboom for 115. Above that, you got a dual patch of Messi and Mbappe going for 115 from Leaf. Erling Haaland auto, a Kylian Mbappe orange PSA 10 out of 25 from 2022 Finest for 126. Karim Benzema out of 10 and goes for 126 as well. An orange out of 10, which is a little odd. 1 of 1 of a player I've never heard of, along with a Jairzinho PSA 5 from 69. Editor Sarria goes for 132. Pop 1 of 1 and none higher on that one. In this row, we have a Kaká PSA 9 with a 10 auto from this 2022 Select. Goes for 132. We have a 66 editorial Bruguera Brazil Pele in a 1 that goes for 138. Pop 1 of 2, just 2 higher. At least fairly rare in those grades. I did have this one, not like a standout by any means, but I was happy to go ahead and add it. I'm sort of a sucker for the tie-dye. Some people like it, some don't. I tend to like it since I'm usually not putting together runs of all the parallels in a year. I'd rather pick off a gold or a tie-dye personally. This was also jersey number on the back, which it did not have in the title, which is more so kind of why I chose this one. I like the card anyways, but the jersey number definitely pulled me in a little more. I paid a little above comps for that, but I think a jersey number, especially on someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, is definitely worth it. Beyond that, Lamine Yamal out of 75. PSA 9 goes for 150. Again, the real story here is only 4 watchers. I understand that this is like a Topps Gold insert out of 75 and a 9, so there's like a lot of things that probably cut against it, but only 4 watchers on a numbered Lamine Yamal. I think that speaks to the overwhelming quantity that is being put out there at the moment. I thought this was a Manuel Neuer auto at first. Apparently it's Aaron Ramsdale. That 9 goes for 156 for a 1 of 1. This 64 sticker Verlag Pele goes for 156. I was surprised. I looked this up to see how it was doing, and there's not many high grades that sell. I mean, the last one in general in PSA grade that you can see sell was a 5 from nearly, half a year ago, and that went for 384. So this is a good discount on that. But when we scroll backwards, I mean, the last time before that you see a 3 or higher was June of 2023. So, I mean, only one of these in a 3 or higher grade selling like every 8 months or something. I would have assumed that these were a lot more plentiful, but apparently not. Nonetheless, I mean, seems like a fair price, maybe a little light. I think if you're a Pele set registry person, you probably got that for a relative deal, at least compared to some of the things we've seen. In this one, you got an Isak here out of 25 that goes for 156, along with a Telmo Zara from 41 and a CGC 15 for 162. Dani Olmo jersey number, they got the jersey number there. That goes for 168 in a PSA 9 with the auto. Lionel Messi out of 99 NT for 174 from, of course, the World Cup winning year. And then a Joe Hart 1 of 1 along with a Bernabeu CGC 1 that goes for 174. When these first started coming out, I think the ones went for like 300 or so, but then a lot of higher grades got sort of thrown to market afterwards. So I think that definitely suppressed the prices of the early ones, since they all went for around the same price, and you could have had a 1 or like a 4 for the same price. So the 1 gets a decent discount here. I don't know if this is a resell or not, but good amount of watchers with 42 on that one. On page 2, we start with the gold Harvey Elliott, this rookie card. It says rookie card. I don't see it. Oh, there's a symbol there, top right. There you go. That goes for 174. Elias here, and a PSA 1 goes for 180. And not too familiar on the players, so you can roast me in the comments if you please. But a decent price, not like a stellar price for what you see for this set. You know, they can definitely get over 1,000 at times, or around 1,000 for good players. More so like stars, probably. So this is a sub-star, I would assume. Again, feel free to roast. Gyökeres here, out of 150, goes for 186. We then have a Lamine Yamal out of 10. Again, just an example. This one does have 17 watchers, but out of 10, Lamine Yamal goes for 186. Of course, it is a Merlin Heritage insert of sorts, so I get that, but 186 is not a crazy price. Auto Sifling from 1930 Greeling, and a PSA 2 goes for 192, pop 1 of 2, a 1 higher. Along with the man, Kylian Mbappe Gold, BGS 10 for 192. You know, sort of again comparing to the Messi, would I rather pay nearly double the price to get a Kylian Mbappe the man and a BGS 10? Gold out of 50, or would I rather just have a base Topps Chrome out of 50 BGS 95 Messi? I'd take the Messi and the money every single day of the week, but, you know, I commend people for buying modern players still, as we saw earlier. I did buy Ronaldo from sort of a modern year, but I have bought some Haalands lately. I mean, I do dabble here and there, but I do think you have to be pretty cautious and considerate with where you're going in terms of buying a lot of these modern guys, because there's just so many cards. I mean, we're seeing it with Lamine Yamal in every row at this point, every page more so. This Tifo Ronaldo, I was interested because, again, with all the cards, all the stuff, you know, I did see this come out, and I thought it was kind of unique, kind of cool. It's like a, you know, a Tifo sort of design of, like, the people in the stands hold it up. It's kind of interesting. A 9 or a 10 actually went for 192. And the last draws were doing like 30, 40. So, I mean, a decent margin to be had here on grading that and getting a 10. Last one on eBay did 115, so I guess that's not as good. This seems like a pretty good sale overall. But yeah, I mean, as low as 23 at times. I was interested in what they came out at, and initially they were around $100 per one, maybe 125 at times, a little higher. And they've dropped to around 30 or 40 at times, and that PSA 10 goes for what the original prices were close to. Sort of speaks to how, you know, cards always sort of go down, but then they find their saturation point, and then they, you know, figure out where they go from there. It's just a matter of time, really. Rui Costa rookie PSA 8 goes for 198. This one we do have some sales on, a lot in the last like 6 months, surprisingly. As you can see, there weren't any really selling, and then we got this one, this one, this one, and this one. So the original one, 198, 162, 324, 198. So, you know, higher or equal to the first two, a little lower than the last one, but the last one kind of kicked up seemingly for no reason. I mean, it almost doubled the prior sales, which were only a couple months before, so that seems reasonable, if not good, to have 4 straight sell and all of them keep their price. Beyond that, a Donruss Cristiano. Beyond that, a 2016 Donruss holographic rookie Pulisic. This goes for 204. I don't own any of these holographic Donrusses. They've always done really well. I don't think this one was crazy compared to most of the prices I see for them. I still think it's decent, don't get me wrong, but a little lower than what I've seen in the past for that particular card. Matthias Sulit, rookie 1 of 1, PSA 9 goes for 204. You have a DD sort of dollar here in a SGC 3 that does 210. Really cool looking one, really rare as well. You don't see a lot of these show up. There was one, I think, of recently of another player within the set, but the Garrincha, for instance, has really never showed up on public auction. Cool front, cool back. A couple of these have sold in the past, a PSA 1 for $96 and a PSA 1 for $103. So an SGC 3 going for $210 after nearly not selling for almost 2 years. I think that was probably a deal, at least if you're someone just looking to put some DDs together to be able to get the highest grade that's ever sold by a good margin for only double the price. Not too shabby. Red Ice Cristiano Ronaldo in a 10 goes for $210 there from his Manchester United days, or at least his second stint. Then you have the Zinedine Zidane Mega Cracks Mega Estrellas that goes here for $210 and a PSA 9 pop, a 1 of 11, just 1 PSA 10. Did take a peek, and I mean, around where the sales have been, at least as of the last few in 2023. Before that, they were closer to 330 in 2022 and mid-2023. They dropped to 200, and that's about where they have been since. I would say a decent sale, but not a great one, considering, you know, it hadn't sold in basically a year and a half, and it just went at the same price. So, although, you know, when you think about it, would you rather have that or Messi? Kind of difficult. Messi obviously has a ton of numbered cards. Zinedine Zidane doesn't, so it depends which you're sort of going after, but I could see why people's attention might be swayed elsewhere. And out of 15 color match, Messi Flood from 2023. It looks really good, goes for $210. I think the prices on eBay have been around the same, if not higher, from what I was seeing before. So that seems like a fair price. This is Pop 104, just one higher. Floods and particularly Obsidian in general, not going to be an easy grade. This Cafu rookie PSA 6 goes for 222. I also looked at that, and this was fairly low. Now, granted, all the other sales were 2022 and prior, but I think that also it speaks to a couple things. One, pre-modern was still going through a huge flush in 2022. As you can see here, early 2022, 2,500, middle 2022, 500, end of 2022, 400. And, presumably it would have trickled a little bit more if more of these had come up. I'm surprised it, actually went half the price under the last one, and there hasn't been a sale of this particular grade in nearly 2.5 years. Which, I'm just going to say is quite a while, I think. The last 7 went for $396, I guess, compared to the 7. It kind of makes sense, but, that was, 6 months ago or so. Has there been any 8s? I'm interested now. Last 8 did $1,200, so that's quite the premium, but that was 2023. And finally, I ask, any 9s? Only one 9, and that went for $1,500. So there's only been 4 sales of a 6 or higher in the last nearly 2 years. I would say that that's probably a pretty good price if you're trying to put together a bunch of rookies of some of the best of each era. I think that's a decent grade. Pop 1 of 11, 10 higher, so it's a top, 21-ish rookie. I think that's a decent price. 222, especially considering what we just saw. These have come down a long ways, and they haven't really been showing up a ton despite their, lower prices now. Quite the mix-up here. In this row, we have a Kylian Mbappe rookie silver field level from 2017 that goes for 228 and a 9. We then have a Lev Yashin from 1959-1960 Heinerle. This rookie, SGC3, goes for 300. I can sort of forgive the rookie connotation on this a little bit. The Heinerle dates have changed a lot. I would say it's still one of, if not the most prominent early items for Yashin in terms of just like iconic nature. When you say like early Yashin card or sticker, I think a lot of people would think of this one. So 300 on that seemed like a pretty fair price comparatively to what you can see elsewhere. They really get a premium in like 4s, 5s, and 6s. A 3 sort of in between. You do have some rounded corners and you have the white edge on the left hand side, but you see those on a lot of copies. Along with that, Tiger Stripe Choice Mo Salah going for 312 and a PSA 10 Pop 102. We then have a Lamine Yamal Sapphire Gold out of 50 rookie variation that goes for 312 and a PSA 9. You have this Pariani, which it says Pariani, but all these 1950 American players are for the most part are switched up. This might be the case here, it might not be, I don't necessarily remember. Nonetheless, that goes for 324, authentic altered. Pretty decent looking back on that one and pretty decent looking overall, but the authentic altered stands nonetheless. Thought this was a pretty high sale, 336 for PSA 6 rookie 2004 Messi. Yeah, not a whole lot. We see these a decent bit. I've been talking about how those have been up a lot. Again, during the boom, you could probably find these at times for like 150 to 250 pretty easy. 350 on auction now seems to be about the going rate. Granted, these are one of the more desired in terms of the blue rookie, but then we finalize the second to last page here with a Sepp Maier rookie PSA 7 for 360. I did look at this. If memory serves me right, I did. Last sales were 224, 252, 270, and 1,050. So this is the second highest sale in terms of recent memory. But it is quite a bit down from the highest sale ever. So I'll take a look and see if there's been any 8s. There was one that went for 492. Considering this did 360, I would say that 8 was probably a good deal. And finally, any 9s? No 9s. All right. Not even check the 10s. Not worth it. Luka Modric out of 10, Topps Chrome Auto. PSA 9 goes for 360. I'd say, generally speaking, Modric stuff has been doing pretty good. Now, an out of 10 auto going for 360 doesn't seem like a crazy price to me. But his autos at one point in time were pretty pricey, at least compared to most players, and probably deservedly so to some extent. But I think that's come back to earth a little bit here. 360 on that pop, 1 of 2, none higher. And then finally, a PSA 8 Maldini Calciatore 85 goes for 372. Took a look, and down from some recent sales, up from some recent sales. It's definitely not the highest that we've seen as of late. The lowest we've ever seen the last couple years was 200 there, and then 288, 263. So it's definitely up from the bottom, a good $100, $120. Or actually, $170 from the lowest sale we've ever seen. So it's up almost double from the all-time low. If we go back during the boom, I guess the all-time high wasn't, well, okay, that's actually a flash, that makes sense. But the highest sales during the boom were like, 600, 700. I guess there was a 1100 back here, but for the most part, like 700 was the all-time high. So being nearly 400 isn't terrible. It's actually pretty decent, I would say, especially when you consider pre-boom. $50, $100, $78. Nothing crazy, so still up, considerably since pre-boom, 7, 8x. And then we make it to page 1. So we start with the Dolar here. I can't speak too much on it pre-war. I'm learning, I'm trying, but 372 on that Dolar for a pop 1 of 1 and higher. Again, decent price, but to me it sort of says like sub-star pricing comparative to what you see elsewhere. You have Acuna Auto here from Topps Tier 1 Bundesliga. 2020 goes for 432. Remember having him in my FIFA teams back in the day. That was about the end of FIFA for me. But the memories stand nonetheless. This PSA 9 Messi goes for 468 for the 2006 World Cup card. Then I have a Pulisic Black Gold up here, an auto PSA 9 goes for 480, and we'll see some more of those in this auction block. Not this in particular, but Pulisic autos in general. This Messi World Cup Stars goes for 480. I don't think I looked this one up. I did not. But just generally speaking, I thought it was a decent buy if you're into that type of stuff. If you're trying to get a 2014 Prism Messi that looks pretty cool, color match, all that good stuff, for 480 doesn't strike me as a crazy price. Me personally, this is a hot take, and I'm guessing most people probably won't agree, but I actually prefer the 2014 World Cup Stars look to the base card. Not to say I would prefer the card necessarily to a base card, because I place some value on the base card itself, but I like this design a lot more. Like the 2014 base Prism to me has a clunky design with like the corners popping out, and it's just like, it's rough, at least for me. I could understand here like the World Cup Stars writing being a turnoff for some people. If you took that away, I think it's pretty clearly a better looking card than the 2014 base, but that's just my hot take for the moment. I've actually believed that for quite a while. Not that I have many of these, I don't. I have like some sub-stars and stuff, but I'm not like buying these up with a theory that people will one day think that, because I don't think it matters a whole lot. But 480 on that one. Again, seems like a fun price if you're trying to get a meaningful or somewhat meaningful 2014 Prism Messi. Maradona PSA 9 Prismatic. We've seen some of these go. This goes for 492. We saw most of the time these were going for like 500. Then a 10 sold for a ton. And then the 9s popped up to like 800 maybe, and now they're back down. Another Christian Pulisic here, it goes for 492. I always think that the PSA 9s of the die cuts are basically 10s in my mind. I mean, they're not really, and people don't pay a premium for them, but for me personally, I would pay a premium for a 9 over an 8 just because of generally how they grade and what I know. Pop 1 of 9, 3 higher, and 3 honestly is a pretty decent amount considering most of the time that's probably lower. White Sparkle Cristiano Ronaldo in a 10 goes for 504. Pop 1 of 7. You have an Early Holland Impeccable out of 59, goes for 552. In this row, a Select Zebra Messi out of 25, goes for 630 in a PSA 9. Did search that just out of interest. Apparently the last raw, this is a PSA 9, went for 1500. That's on a best offer, so I'm not quite sure. We see some other field levels here that did 900, 900, 1075. This 9 did 1200, so yeah, I mean, just comparing to like August 2022, which was around the bottom. I mean, Messi, I would say bottomed around the World Cup, which is always crazy to think about, but I think that's definitely something to consider if you're someone, quote unquote, investing or trying to flip in the lead up to the 2026 World Cup. Is, I mean, at least last time people did that, we ended up seeing the bottom because everyone was selling at that point in time. As a collector, it's kind of nice either way. Like, if prices go up, you might be able to sell some things. If prices go down and tons of cards appear, you get some nice cards for cheap. I mean, you can kind of look at it however you want, but if you're playing for that, I don't know. But this is actually even down a lot more since then. So apparently for this card, that was not the bottom. It's about half the price it was during 2022 World Cup, which is weird because most Messi's doing pretty good. Maybe this is just a steal. Maybe people don't care about Zebra. Maybe a bit of both. PSA 8 Campio here goes for 630. This is, I would say the 6s, the 5s, those are getting super strong prices. I think the 8s haven't really gotten too much of a bump. At times you might have seen these in the 400 to 500 range, but they've comfortably been around 5 for the most part. So 630 is a good price, but not crazy. In sort of the same vein, I don't think the Monday Chromo's got a lot of love as of late. I mean, now it's basically, at least in terms of pricing, on par with this PSA 8 from the team set. Me personally, I take the Monday Chromo every single day of the week myself. Of course, to each their own, but they're just generally hard to grade. I mean, the centering's tough. The cards, I mean, they weren't kept in that good condition, so an 8's pretty decent. And again, it's a league set, so I like that a lot more over a team set personally. Then you have a 2016 Christian Pulisic out of 60 PSA 9. This goes for $720. Pop 1 of 10, 5 PSA 10s higher. Gold Endrick out of 10 from 2023 Donruss goes for $720 and a PSA 9. Along with Cristiano Ronaldo sticker auto from 2018 goes for $840. Row above that, we got a couple golds here and an Erling Haaland. This Arda Güler rookie out of 10. PSA 10 goes for $870. Pop 1 of 2. You have the 2017 Gold Messi Awards winner PSA 9 out of 50 that goes for $900. Decent price on that at $900. I think we've seen one of those sell recently. We saw Ronaldo go pretty cheap in comparison. I think that was $400 to $500. But I do like this sort of insert set. Golds, reds, not too many parallels, which is kind of nice. I mean, it does look a little weird. You got that huge face of Messi next to him. I mean, it's a little odd. But 2017 Chrome, I'd say it's probably one of the better inserts. And gets a pretty good price at $900 for a gold out of 50 and a 9. Not getting such good prices, at least compared to past history. This finest blue refractor out of 150. Haaland goes for $990, just a smidge under $1,000. Moving over $1,000, you got the Christians here, the Cristianos, the Christian. Ronaldo out of 99 purple PSA 8 goes for $1230, which was a really good price when we look at some recent comps. I mean, a 9.5 in October on Probstein did nearly the same price, so that 8 seems like it did really, really well. Generally speaking, I mean, the low was a 7.5 here for $579. There was an 8 for $825 back in the day, and then you also have an 8 for $2,500. So they definitely came back down to earth after 2022. PSA 9 back in 2022 was doing nearly 4K, which means an 8 was probably around 2. Now an 8's down to $1,200, so it's definitely down from the booming days of 2022, at least relatively booming days. But this is, I don't know, what, like a third of the price of what his Prism base PSA 10 was during the heyday of 2020, so compared to that, pretty decent price, I would say, and a fun one nonetheless. I do have to look at the jersey number just out of curiosity. It's a 12, no big deal. I was wondering if maybe that's why we got the jump. PSA 10 out of 49, RC Auto, Christian Pulisic. Here, this 10 does seem to get quite the premium. Is that the same? No, okay, so that was a different die cut. This is also a die cut. This goes for nearly $1,600 for a PSA 10 Pop 1 of 5. I'm impressed by the amount of watchers. I mean, you know, a lot of people rag on American guys and American collectors for collecting American guys and, you know, that type of stuff. But there's a lot of people out there that do it. So at least I don't have to feel as bad about it, I guess. But $1,600 on that does seem like a decent price. I'll throw that out there. Gun to my head, you make me choose between an out of 25 orange Cristiano Ronaldo auto PSA 10 or a Pulisic out of 49. I might take the Ronaldo. I just might. But I do think that was actually a pretty good price as well. The Cristiano Ronaldo next to it, I don't believe, I actually did pull up comps. Wow, would you look at that? Last one was $4,300, and then back pre-boom was $510. So, yeah, I mean, somewhere in between those prices, closer to $510 than it is $4,300. I don't think that's bad at all. I mean, it is a sticker auto. I know people hate sticker autos, but if you assume the grading premiums that we always talk about, the multiples that can exist, I mean, this is saying that like a raw or a PSA 9 would be like $500 to $700, which doesn't seem crazy. I mean, there's a lot of like sort of, at least in my mind, somewhat meaningless Ronaldos that go for like $500 to $700. So that's how I would justify that one. And then we get to the top three, where we have Kobe leading the soccer week. You'll love to see it. But before that, Cristiano Ronaldo, PSA Auto 10. Is this an authentic card? It is. Authentic card, Auto 10. This is a out of 49 National Treasures from 2021, 2022. Nothing to see on the back. Just a nice horizontal card. Just like timeless something. Yeah, timeless talents. There we go. Obviously, on-card signature. I say obviously. I guess it isn't all that obvious. They kind of make it not seem all that obvious. Little bit of some ink loss there, which, you know, probably isn't the best. I guess that is somewhat interesting to see that right there. And then to see the 10 auto, I would have thought that something like that maybe takes the auto out. I don't know if, I mean, I'm guessing once he hit his hand in terms of the auto, it sort of messed it up a little bit. But that's interesting. Don't know if I necessarily believe that auto grade on there, but nonetheless, $2,100. The way I think about the $2,100 price tag on it, I mean, you know, you saw Eminence 2022 Messi's horizontal doing like $5,000. So I think 2,100 is a decent price relative to that. Queagle Pele PSA 5 goes for 4,300. This has taken quite the beating in general. The Queagle used to be labeled as a 1958 item. This one's also pretty off-center, but nonetheless, this used to be labeled as a 1958, a really stunning looking Pele. This is actually now labeled as a 1960, so that's taken off a lot of luster. Pre-boom, I think that this was actually sort of, I mean, at least it seems to me this was like the Pele rookie that a lot of people clamored for. Because it looks good, I think. Also, you can kind of find them in high grades sometimes. And it was seemingly a rookie at the time. It no longer is seen that way, and the prices have reflected that. So, 2021 for PSA 5, $75K. 2025, you can't see it all the way over here. I guess I'll just do that. There you go. Now we're looking at 4,800. So down a fair bit, I would say. Still only a pop 11. I mean, if we go look at the pop, what are we looking at? An 8, there's 3, which says 191K. I mean, I don't know, but that seems a little high. A 7, there's 3. A 6, there's 11. A 5, there's 11. So yeah, I mean, they are out there in high grade a decent amount. Notably, I mean, the last 3 sold for 3,400, I think that said. And that was this same month. So, I mean, I think that was a relative deal for a 5. Granted, it does look pretty off-centered. The back, I mean, looks intact, but the ink is a little iffy. I don't know what these typically look like, so I'm not accusing this of being removed. I have no clue. I would look at more copies and become more knowledgeable if you really do care. But with the off-center nature of it, the back the way it was, I could see why it went on the lighter side of a 5. But for basically the price of a 3, I think that was a decent deal. And then finally, I don't know if this was a decent deal, but at the same time, Kobe people are crazy. They're absolutely nuts. So this goes for 30.6K for sticker auto Kobe, which, you know, again, I said it, they're nuts, but they care, they show out, and they certainly did here. So this is not a 25. This is the Fans of the Game signatures from 2014 World Cup Prism. I think in this set, it's just him and Andrew Luck. I could be wrong, but I think those were the two at the time. Andrew Luck, obviously a bigger name at the time. They were probably hoping he'd be like a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning type. Of course, Kobe has a pretty good history of being a soccer fan. Grew up playing it. I think he grew up, I want to say he grew up in like Italy, something like that, and he was all about it. He enjoyed it a lot. So, I mean, it is cool from that regard, don't get me wrong, but it's always funny for perspective to see when, like, other sports show up in these auctions and just how easily they can dwarf us. Like, this Kobe card probably went for, like, the price of basically this entire page, plus maybe the rest of the auction block. Like, you could have had all the cards we talked about or this Kobe card, and clearly some people are saying, I would take the Kobe, and, you know, if they're Kobe people, I get it. In terms of comps, this is actually up from the 2021 sale of a 9.5 where it went for $2,700. This one goes for, I said $2,700. Again, soccer prices, $27,000. Sorry, we're talking basketball. This one goes for $30,600. And back in the day, if you were a savvy buyer in 2015, you could have spent $600 for a raw copy. No guarantee of getting a Gem Mint 9.5, but I mean, I'd assume you're up a little bit on that one if you managed to snag it back then. So I never get the opportunity to talk about Kobe, but I will say I think he's one of the most overrated players in all of sport. But I'll just leave it right there with that. We'll go on to the next auction block and see what it has in store for us. Next week, we have a record 9 Pele Journal. And out of 50, Erling Haaland from 2019 Sapphire. Obviously, this gold out of 10 is just staring me right in the face of Cristiano Ronaldo's select field level from 2016. A Messi Eminence 2022, an iffy auto on a 2018 NT Colossal Bronze Messi, color match Kylian Mbappe, a gold Thomas Muller. I think there's a lot of golds in this auction. We might see more of those as we go. Pretty high grade Heinerlay there for Pele. It says rookie again, not quite, but still. 2018 gold laser Cristiano Ronaldo. You have an Imperia Calcium Pele. But yeah, I mean, beyond that, gold solid, some fun vintage there with the Heinerlay, the Maradona, Rivellino there. There's some more gold prism scattered throughout, but it should be a fun week, and hopefully you're excited. I know I am. I think we'll just end it here. As always, if you enjoyed this video, do make sure to leave a like. I'd appreciate it greatly. Anything you thought sold high or low, maybe something you snagged, would love to hear about it in a comment down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.